Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Metal video. In this video we are going to be taking a look at the mark of Saiyan Strength Super Saiyan 3 Bardock and just how good he is after his Extreme Z Awakening on DBZ Dokkan Metal Global. So we're going to be taking a look at just how good he is. We have one dupe in him, which is nice. It does help him out quite a bit. And yeah, we're just going to see basically how he does. Now Bardock previously was a little bit of a situational unit, and they've kind of remedied a lot of that. So he had like medium chance to stun. They've changed that. He had allies buff when he was below a certain health threshold. They've changed that. So Bardock is substantially improved, and I think he looks really solid. We're going to take a look at him in Red Zone. We'll take a look at him in the Super Activation Cell Max event. But yeah, in general, we're going to get a pretty good view of Bardock and how well he does. Obviously, with his EZA, he's now 170% across the board lead for Super Saiyan 3, which is good. They need a little bit of help there. He is also a Super INT type lead of 120%, which is good. He raises defense for 1 turn and causes immense damage to the enemy and seals their super attack. He then has Ki +3 and attack and defense of 100%, with an additional attack and defense of 100% when performing a super attack. He gives super class category allies 50% attack unconditionally, and he will launch an additional super attack when there is another Power Beyond Super Saiyan category ally attacking in the same turn. He has Super Saiyan experienced fighters over in a flash, prepared for battle, limit breaking form, the first awakened and fierce battle as his link skills. And he's on Super Saiyan 3, Res Warriors, Pure Saiyans, Time Travelers, Goku's Family, Revenge, Crossover, Powerful Comeback, Storied Figures, Power Beyond, Super Saiyan, and Bond of Parent and Child. We're going to be trying him out on the Goku's Family team, and then we'll be trying him out on the Crossover team, just for a bit of fun, and just seeing how well he does. Now obviously, Bardock here has 129,000 defense. This is pretty decent. This defense is going to go up quite substantially. It should go up to roughly 250k or so, 260, 250k, and it's going to look pretty decent from that perspective. He will also raise his defense again on his super attack, and he has a decent chance of firing an additional super attack as long as we have a Power Beyond Super Saiyan category ally on the same turn. So Bardock does pretty well. I think he looks really solid, and I think in general he does look fairly impressive. I think as a unit he kind of sits in this space of being very solid defensively but very good offensively, with the fact that he has built-in additionals which are pretty accessible, and the fact that he gives the rest of the rotation quite a sizable attack buff. Bardock is definitely more, I want to say, offense related as a unit than he is, a like defensive unit. He relies entirely basically on raw defense, which is, his raw defense is decent, but he relies entirely on raw defense. So basically he will essentially just be a unit that kind of exists in terms of like defense. He will kind of exist in a situation where he will tank normals pretty well, but he's probably gonna die to supers, which is fine. That's what a lot of units are like nowadays, so that's more than okay. Bardock though, defensively looking solid, a little bit of support on this rotation, so things are looking a little bit better. Just gonna pair him up with Goku just because I want to see how he does next turn, where he's got quite a few links and quite a bit of support active. But yeah, Bardock is in a good situation. In terms of build, I do think you want to probably go for crit mainly, and then kind of splice off into additional, so that you can get the chance of triple super attacks, but you do want them to crit, because even though Bardock has pretty nice attack stats, 5 million, 6 million, you're going to want to have those crits, because if they don't crit, then they are going to end up being not as effective as maybe you want them to be. So yeah, I do think Bardock is in that situation. Like as a unit, I think he does need to have a little bit of this like catering to and understanding. He gains a lot of defense on his super, so you're going to struggle to, like, how can I say, you're going to struggle to essentially with him, let's say, put him in the first slot. Like, it's never going to happen. He needs to get that super attack off. It will dramatically improve how much defense he has. And so first slot's never really a thing for him. However, yeah, for me, the second slot is a great situation for him to be in. But personally, I find him being a floater is actually the best, personally speaking. Because I think when he's a floater, I do think he has the best of everything he needs. And I think he excels in that position. Because even like here, 129k, okay, so best case scenario, we end up with over 300k defense. We do have a dupe in Bardock. We are under a 200% lead. We do have 30% defensive support. So Bardock is never a unit that's going to hit huge heights of defense. Very solid defense, but never huge heights of defense. And I think from that perspective, you want to have him floating. Great damage. Great augmenter of damage for other units. Remember, he's giving everyone 50% extra attack, which is huge. But I just think in general, you want to kind of push him a little bit into being more a floater, more a second slot kind of support based unit. I think that for me is where I'm kind of sitting with, like, okay, this is good stuff, you know. So yeah, but that's basically kind of covering, I guess, the principles of them. Obviously, from like a category point of view, from a link skill point of view, there's a couple of things we do want to address. Bardock's not on the craziest amount of categories, but he's on some decent ones. He's on storied figures. He has a 200% lead there. He's on Goku's family. He's got a 200% lead there. Crossover, he's got a 200% lead as well under Super Hearts, and he's also got a 200% lead, I believe, under Bond of Parent and Child, I think, if I'm thinking correctly. No, he won't. He only have 170% lead. So, but he does have access to 2 or 3 200% leads, which is good. A lot of his categories do have strong leads. Bond of Parent and Child, Power Beyond Super Saiyan, Storied Figures, Powerful Comeback, Crossover, Goku's family. All these have very strong leads. So I think overall he's looking pretty solid. I want to say, like, he's looking very decent. Pure Sands as well has obviously a decent lead. So yeah, I think overall he sits in a very solid kind of space when it comes to team building. His ability to give support gives him flexibility, so that 50% attack support does make him worthwhile to take as a floater on most teams. He's going to really augment the amount of damage you're going to do, so he can really uplift a lot of those teams. And that, the way he's designed to have now that key +3 means that his link set's not so bad, but he does carry a lot of decent links. Over in a Flash, Prepared for Battle, Limit Breaking Form are all very solid key links that do very good coverage across the board for most categories of units. He's got First Awaken, which is a powerful link, but it's not one you're going to get very often. He's got Experienced Fighters, which is decent, Super Saiyans, which is very common, and Fierce Battle, which is also a fairly decent link. So Bardock is in a good space. I think he's a brilliant floating unit. I think he's a really, really solid second slot unit. And I think his flexibility means that you can run him on the majority of teams. You're going to see pretty good performances out of him, pretty good numbers, pretty good kind of synergy, and just general performance and ability. So yeah, I think personally speaking, Bardock's in a good situation from that perspective. Obviously, it is going to depend on dupes, because Bardock, especially defensively, is so reliant on raw defense. Having, for example, the first dupe in him is a big bonus, Second dupe is an even bigger bonus. Third dupe, even more, and obviously Rainbow is quite big for him. Then in terms of gear, defensive equipments will help him out as well because of the multiplicative nature of his passive. And then obviously in terms of the actual design of him, I think it kind of covers him pretty well. Will he age? A little bit, probably. He will age slightly, like he is going to drop off. His offense will remain good for a while, but obviously any unit that relies on raw defense, once the natural defense cap of the hardest events gets raised, so once units stop needing around 400k and start needing around 600k, etc., then Bardock will naturally fall off. Because once you can't meet the normal threshold or the threshold for defending against normal attacks, you naturally then lose your viability in the endgame. That's not to say that he'll not be a useful unit. He'll continue to be a useful unit. 50% attack support, multiple super attacks, very, very good damage. He will continue to be very useful. It's more just in saying that he will naturally drop off a little bit, and that's to be expected. Because you can't always, especially when it's just raw defense, there's very little mechanics that safeguard you against future difficulty spikes. You know, guard, damage reduction, these things generally protect units against the curve to kind of give them additional viability. But Bardock looks good. Definitely his best performance is with support. Support does augment him quite a bit. So he does have obviously a greater level of defense, greater level of attack, because of the nature of how support plays into his passive. So you can flood him with support and see some very crazy stats. The thing is, nowadays support and obviously links do kind of go hand in hand, but generally speaking, if you flood them with double supports, you are going to see some pretty nuts stats. Now, I don't really agree with double support flooding units too much. I think it's not a good indication of their performance. So I don't really think that's a good way to go, but you can do it if you want to. So obviously beyond that, talking about his link set, there is kind of this notion when it comes to his link set that it's very versatile but not very good, in the sense that there's not a lot that you gain from it. In all respects to Bardock, he doesn't gain too much from his link set. Super Saiyan, decent attack link. Experienced fighters, decent attack link. Over in the Flash, he gains key in attack, prepared for battle, a little bit of defense, limit breaking form, a little bit of an attack. First Awakened, he gains quite a bit, but this link is rather difficult to get if you're not running a Bardock-centric team. And yeah, in general, there is just kind of this feeling that he's not really kind of built for major linkage. He's got a very versatile link set. You'll find only 1 or 2 units share 5 links with them. Only a couple units share 4 links with them. But it's still good. It's not that his link set is bad, it's just very versatile. Over in the Flash, prepared for battle, these cover him very well in terms of key. First Awakened, a very strong link, but quite hard to get. And Super Saiyan, experienced fighters, and fierce battle generally cover him quite well for attacking. Limit Breaking Form is a Super Saiyan 3 based link, so generally speaking, him having this also helps him out quite a bit. So yeah, overall I think Bardock sits in a good place. Link leveling him will augment his attack more so than his defense, but it will augment him a little bit defensively, especially if you have a First Awakened unit. And luckily there are some that have been added in kind of easy aid as well. So Bardock does have a lot of good support that he's received with his own easy aid. So we can definitely see him improve in future, and we can see a pretty exciting version or variant of Bardock in the future as well. Is Bardock super broken? I don't think so. Is he very good? I think so. Versatile, supports, attacks, solid defense, I think Bardock is in a very, very good space. And he really helps out a lot of teams. Storied figures, SS3, all of these needed an EZA for Bardock. And he's delivered, and he looks pretty good. Plus the sticker effect is pretty rad. But that's going to be it from me. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you guys next time. Bye.